you may call it podcast of all time. This is Allegra
I've never said a
Pescatore.
joke in my life.
Ever.
Ever.
Nada.
Not
This is
once.
your first time. First time? Was that your first one?
First one. Feels weird.
Yeah. It feels weird. Deep
Yeah, kind
breaths.
of
It's
tingly.
okay. Tingly. Very, very much like you just gotta really let it go. You gotta really, really let yourself be. So anyway, I gotta do a little commercial if that's all right with you, and then we'll
Please
really
do.
get rolling here.
In the latest issue of Spectres and Sabanian, we go back in time to ancient Egypt as Anexi tells the greatest love story of all time, Mark Antony and Cleopatra. She should know. She was there, fangs and blood and all. This is her beginning and their ending. Spectres and Sabanian is ongoing on Kickstarter right now. To support it, please click on the link in the description below.
So how was that? Was that good?
That was pretty cool. I am a sucker for anything ancient Egypt or ancient history of the Mediterranean in general, so
Yeah,
it spoke to my heart.
It's a comic book Kickstarter. So,
That's really neat. I love what Kickstarter is doing for the indie community. It's so fabulous.
Author J.B. Bernison, welcome to the show. My name is Josh. Anything you heard about me is probably true. Just saying. I'm just being upfront about that sort of thing. But welcome to the show. I'm gonna put in the last little responsible thing here. Allegra told her first joke. I know it was a shock to us all. She did that literally 10 seconds into the show. 10 seconds. I was totally shocked there.
I've been hyping myself up for it for all day.
But for anybody that just missed the video, I just put a little video up there in the first few minutes. If you want to support the Kickstarter project that's going on right now, go right to this link. If you want to help this podcast, just at least click on this link, and it will be doing wonders for me and everybody else. And that's all I'm going to say about that. There you go. I've been good. See, I can be responsible. I can be an adult.
Sometimes. I am impressed, but you know what? I expected exactly this. You are the supreme height of professionalism and wonder.
Hey, listen, author J.P. Bernison, flattery like this gets you everywhere. Don't get in her way. Don't not ruin her time, or do not ruin this moment. I've actually been very curious to meet Allegra because, see, I did a little contest about. So every once in a while, when I actually have money as a freelancer, I go, I want to support other authors. But the way I do it is, I make them recommend me a book from somebody else, and if I like their pitch, because it's also going to tell me a little bit how good their salesmanship is too. If I like their pitch, I not only will get the author they're recommending, but their book too. Right? That's how the contest.
It's works. A really good way of doing it.
Yeah. It's easy because you tell an author to talk about their book like right? That's one thing. But where I'm going to really look at how enthusiastic you are is how you think about somebody else's stuff you really like. Because I think most authors can be decent sales, and I'm going to say most, because some of the people on that contest, you're like, I liked it. That's wonderful. That's not why I wanted you to put this.
It's not particularly specific.
No, I'm not. I'm looking for why do you love this, right? And so that was the nature of the contest, and your name came up a couple times. So it was like, okay, she must be pretty good at what she does. So I think it was Jane Taylor, Anita Stewart, a couple other people that say you're pretty good at this sort of thing. So I wanted to meet this pretty good sort of thing author. So how you doing?
I'm doing really well.
She's so JP, okay. How does she compare to you?
Well, considering I write half of his books, I'd say that I'm definitely the worst half. He's the genius. I just kind of ride on his coattails.
Hey, listen, he's letting you do it. Who are you to argue, right?
Exactly. Just cruising along there.
Yeah. By the way, and also nice to meet you, JP. Like I said, my name is Josh. I do this podcast called Just Josh. I'm an author myself, so I goof off. So nice to meet you, right? So, but let's see, Miss Allegra. So I guess what I'm going to ask, I don't know that much about you, but everybody seems to like you. So, what's your secret origin story? We'll start there. Like,
My secret origin story. I'm the love child of two artists who ran away to Italy together and had a fabulous adventure in which they accidentally had a baby, and that is entirely factually correct.
I believe it.
But yeah, no, I grew up in Europe, and I've been traveling all over the world ever since. And really, I think the reason why a lot of people know me is about 6 months into my author career, I said, well, I hate this. I was screaming into the void about my own work, and I don't like particularly screaming into the void about my own work. It always feels disingenuous. And so I just said, okay, I'm going to start screaming into the void about other people's work. And as it turns out, that's a lot more fun. You make friends, you engage with the rest of the indie world, and there's so much out there, and it's so cool to see all the things that indies are doing.
You see what episode number you are on my podcast?
No, I didn't catch the number.
822.
Well done.
I know. So yeah, I know totally how the strategy works. And so many people know you, and they come to, and if you're likable, like we are likable, right? We are totally 100% likable. And so people like us to get to know us a little bit better. And then next thing you know, like things start happening and moving. I will say this, when I was younger, I hated networking. Now that I'm older and wiser, or some stuff like that, I realize this is how the world works.
It is. And there's something like, when I was traveling, I spent 7 months solo backpacking around the world. And it meant that every single day I was making brand new friends. Like, I didn't know the people who would be at the hostel. I didn't know the people who would be on the bus. And you have to get good at getting to know people. And what happens is you find out these amazing stories and these like outrageous, wonderful people who for an hour, a day, a week become your best friends and the center of your universe. And then you never see them again. And there is such magic in that. Like, I love it.
Well, because it's true to life too. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so my origin story is I've moved around everywhere. I'm currently in Calgary. In the last 2 years, I have been in Vancouver, Calgary, Vancouver, Windsor, Ontario, Canmore, Alberta, and now back in Calgary again for the short term. I think my next step is I'm probably going to be the wild, crazy man touring the United States.
Excellent.
So that's probably where I'm
going. It's scary down here?
I'm not this.
Bring a towel.
I've lived there. I kind of know what I'm getting into. So I've lived in Detroit, and I've lived in Phoenix, and I've lived in a town called Snowflake, Arizona. Bring it. I know what to expect.
Excellent.
Yes. The only thing is your beer sucks. It's the only thing I'm going to say about the like your beer. Yes, it sucks.
True fact. I have never had a beer in my life.
Okay.
I have no idea if it sucks or not.
Well, okay, I should make an amendation here. Your craft beers are decent. Your hard liquor is decent. But okay, I live in the mountains, so when I come down to like ground sea level, I have a higher like the stories they tell you about like mountain people having like high alcohol tolerance. It's true. We come back to Earth and we laugh. But really, really like good beer, you might still possibly get a buzz. Not like you're gonna get drunk, but more like I'm gonna get the edge taken off.
Yeah.
Your beer makes me just bloated, and it's just like that's not even fun. Like I'll just be like that started. It's just like I'm just gonna go have a water because there's no point. There's just no point, and that's actually the more disappointing thing. You don't even feel it. You just get bloated because you drink so much. Like there's an abundance of your beer down there. It's almost an abundance thing there. It's just like
quantity, not quality. Story of the United States.
Yes. Yes, by and large, this is true. This is absolutely 100% true. I don't understand. Well, I get why on some levels. I'm not gonna say it's entirely with unprecedented, right? It's just you just go and you see it and you're like, okay, so this thing just rolls, and it's just like, okay, I see why it works. But yeah, I mean, there's a reason why McDonald's is everywhere. We all know it.
Yeah. When I first came to the States, I was really confused because everyone's car was so ginormous. I come from Italy. The little like Fiats where you basically have to like climb on someone to fit in the back seat. And so we come to the United States and I'm like, is everyone the president?
Yes. Yeah.
Only the president of Italy has a car this big.
That's right. Well, that's because it's a perk. I'm going to be, listen, I'm going to be this obnoxious dude telling people what to do. I'm going to get at least a cool car. That's the whole thing. At least I'm going to get a cool car. Because I mean, if you're a world leader, especially today, no one likes you.
Exactly.
No one likes you. People don't trust you, and it's somewhat justified. I can't really say it's not.
If you have a rotten job, sometimes you have to look at the few perks. Like my favorite is I'm disabled, which means have medical bills and life is hard and everything is more complicated, but I get line passes at amusement parks.
Yes, you do.
And that makes it all bearable.
Yes. So what's your favorite amusement park?
Oh, that's hard. I mean, I have to represent, I'm in Pittsburgh, Kennywood. We have some amazing, like old-fashioned wooden roller coasters that are terrifying because they have been there forever and one day they're just going to collapse, but it's totally worth it.
Well, that's the thing, though. They're built to last, and also, right? I mean, they're my favorite kind of roller coasters myself. I don't need it to go upside down. I don't mind.
I don't either.
I don't need it to. I just want it to go really fast. That's it. And wooden coasters still go faster than the motorized ones. So.
I particularly like one of these because it looks like it's a very like little kid roller coaster. What you don't see is it's right at the edge of a cliff, which means that there's a certain point where you're going on and you think you see the top and the bottom of the roller coaster and you crest a ridge and you see that there's this giant drop into a valley. And it is the most like glorious thing the first time you're on it because it absolutely comes out of nowhere and it is thrilling.
So basically, you get scared at you need a new pair of underwear once you see that cliff. You're oh my god!
Basically,
yeah.
But then it's like the speedy part of the roller coaster after that, and it's pure perfection.
Mm-hmm. I found a Boy Meets World thing I hadn't seen since I was a kid. It was Mr. Feedy and Corey riding this most dangerous roller coaster. Corey starts in front, Feedy starts in the back, and when they come back, they've switched seats. It makes no sense at all, right? And the only explanation you get is this. Feedy's like, at one point, I was lifted in the air in front of the car. I had to run in front of the car, right? It's just right. And that's all the explanation you get. Because sometimes, like this is the best thing about a good joke as well as a good story. You don't have to have it make complete sense.
No,
it has to be fun. Here's the thing: you gotta get people to buy it. So the way you get people to buy it is like, okay, for example, like that little guy. Why does it work? Because it's absurd that somehow they went from one to the other. Like, what the hell happened in that roller coaster? Which is the first thing you're asking yourself.
Yes.
And the second thing you're asking yourself is, then you get a little piece of the explanation. It's like, how did this happen? Like, what went wrong? What there? Somehow his glasses are still on. I know there is actually a science for that, but whatever. Just you look at that, you go, that is one of those moments where you look at it and go, you know what? I don't need to know. And Simpsons is really good at this too. Old Simpsons, New Simpsons is another story, but Old Simpsons will do these awkward things. And you're looking at it, it's like you sit there and think about it. It's like, no, there's no way this could happen. But it's so absurd. That
absolutely.
No. You'll just go with it. If it's fun, people will go along with you for the ride.
Yes. And also, I think you say a really good thing about asking questions. I mean, I think that's the core of storytelling when you're engaging an audience, because you're asking questions or they're asking questions about the story and they need to know what happens, right? And they're trying to create it and imagine it. And I think one of the things that authors get wrong all the time is answering every single question instead of letting the readers answer some and deduce or realize that there is no logical explanation because it's comedy. Like, it's glorious.
Well, it's the rules of the world. That's what it comes down to. Like, here's the thing. What's important to your story? I'm doing an Alice in Wonderland Greek mythology mashup.
Nice. Yeah.
Alice in Wonderland does not have to make sense. Now, it has to. Now, there has to be a consistent flow of the narration.
Absolutely.
That's what makes Alice in Wonderland work. It's not what happens in the story because, again, you do the math in the story. It's just like, this does not add up, right? But that's not it. It's Alice's narration as she goes into this place, right, where animals are talking to her, back at her, and she's talking back at them, even though she's not supposed to, but she can't help herself.
Yeah.
Right. But that's the thing, right? Because of her, the way she sees the world, you can get away with putting all the weird stuff in there, right?
You can.
And I take full advantage of that in my story. Whereas in your case, right? In your case, what you're looking at is, right, or in comedy or in any story, like you can get away with anything in a story. Doesn't matter what it is.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, you got to do it in a way that people can buy it. So it's a dangerous thing in real life to some degree, but here's the thing: we all buy ideas. That's what we buy ideas. We don't necessarily buy facts. We don't buy necessarily truth. We buy ideas. That's what we actually buy. So, so the big thing you gotta understand with that is, an idea is not necessarily true, but it doesn't have to be for you to go along with the ride, right? What we forget as adults sometimes is, the ideas we have in reality are not always the same thing. But that's where that's real life adult. Like, we all screw this up at least a little bit, But in a story, it's all about this: can you fulfill? If the expectations are there that you can be silly, the audience will let you do it.
It's about immersion. It's the promises you make to the reader. If, you start out with Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy with this nonsensical person in front of a bulldozer and then an alien from another planet coming to whisk you away and a, magical guidebook, you can get away with anything, and Douglas Adams does. If it's, and it's the same with every single fantasy novel. Every single science fiction novel, you say, this is how it is. And as long as you don't later say, no, actually, it's not, this is how it is instead, the immersion will continue and people will buy into anything and have fun with it.
Yes. Well, or if you do evolve what's going on, you've already kind of layered that it's been there from the beginning.
Yes.
One of my favorite, so I'm a big fan of Brandon Sanderson.
Same.
I love his Mistborn. The first 3 books in particular are my favorites. I think my favorite thing about that was the enemy was there all along. And what you thought it was.
And you keep getting layers pulled away, but it makes sense because it was there all along.
Yeah, exactly. And well, Vin's voice in her head, when you actually realize what that actually is, you're like,
it's horrifying when you go back and reread it.
No, it is. But it's also, I have to go this is one of those things where I just go like this. That was good. Because he didn't lie to you.
No.
He didn't lie to you.
That is what I aspire to as an author, is that every time I write a book, I go into it saying, I want this to be a completely different book if you're reading it for the first time or if you're reading it for the second time.
So I look at it through the psychology of the story. What am I trying to tell?
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. So my Alice story right now, okay? Now, it is like Wonderland. It's a dream. So I decided to have some fun with it. I have Greek mythology, but I also have Carl Jung in the same story because it works.
And it works.
It works in this story, right? And I have this. So the things I'm showing right now as I'm writing the story are like, wait till you see what I'm really up to here. Because what you think's going on and what you actually really, really think this is, it's not. But I'm not lying to you. I'm not I'm showing you this.
But I'm not telling you yet why it's important.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm having some fun with it too. I think my favorite. So I had Alice play croquet against Jason of the Argonauts, as one does.
That's fabulous.
It's a Wonderland thing. It's a totally Wonderland thing, and Jason is the right opponent for her. He just was right. But one of the things I stole from Jason's story was the dragon that never sleeps. So I had this idea. It's like, what if, because he's such an insomniac, right? Sorry. Yeah, as is tradition. Yes, yes. But the thing is, right? What you got to look at is in that story is. So I thought it would be fun. So what if the dragon, because he's so delirious, ends up talking to himself, and his shadows actually start forming different moods, mouths, different like things. So you could just see he has so many personalities in him now that because he just can't sleep.
Yeah.
So he's driven himself crazy. So it's like that's fun. It ties into what. So I'm showing you one thing, and I'm hiding something else, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Again, it's and that's the thing. Like really good storytellers realize it's like I cannot. I've made a promise to the audience that I have to keep.
Yes.
So I've given them expectations. I cannot break those expectations.
I know too much about that. So earlier this year, I was supposed to release a book, and I got to the end of the book, and I said, "This is a good book." And then I read the beginning of my first book in the series again, and I said, "Damn it! I made a promise, and if I don't fulfill it in this book, the series is going to fail. It's going to drop readers because it won't have fulfilled that promise. I told you this. I asked the question, and I need to answer it." So I ended up having to add 60,000 words to this manuscript with a pre-order looming because I knew that like it would not, even though the ending was perfectly serviceable and it told a good story, it wasn't going to tell the story if I didn't add that extra.
So one of my favorite little mysteries in the Wheel of Time was who killed Asmodee?
Yes.
Right? Because everybody's like, wait, who did kill him? Right? And when Robert Jordan was alive, he goes, listen, I've had fans come up to me and tell me who actually did it. It is possible to figure this out. Right? It is actually possible. If you want to figure it out, I will tell you. Right? And eventually just went, you know what, I have to answer this question, even if it's just in the index. I have to answer this question because too many people have asked who killed this asshole? Like who actually did it? Right? And it's like, and when you read who actually did and you look back, oh yeah, you did.
And that's what you want, right? Anytime there's a plot twist, they should be momentarily surprised, but right after the surprise, you'd be like, oh, I should have seen it coming.
Actually, here's what gets me, is when I actually do know better and I still fall for it.
Yes.
Right. So, right. I've mentioned how much not Batman: The Dark Knight Rises, is got flaws as a movie. But I will give Nolan this. Right. He revealed it earlier on. There's something a little off about what the hell was her name? What her actual name was? Miranda Tate. There's something a little different about her. He revealed it really early. And I mean, even though I had already figured out how the movie was going to end, the only question I really had was which girl Batman was going to end up with when this was over. Because everything else, Nolan screwed up. He made the ending too obvious. What he did do well was the story of the child of Ra's al Ghul. He told that story so well that when the reveal happened, I was like this. I really should have known. I was actually a little mad at myself because I knew and I still fell for it. It's like, dang.
I know it does happen. Like sometimes I'm so sure, and then I just like, oh well, I just missed this entire arc over here while I was focused in on this one.
Well, no, it's like in hindsight, you're like, no, I knew this arc. I'm just an idiot. Like, what the hell? What the?
But in a way, like those are the best moments because it means that you're making a connection and that you're invested and that you actually were trying to figure it out. And to me, like that's the best way to consume media of any type is as a completely invested person who's trying to work out every single tiny detail.
See, the extra 30K words we added to Bond is a good example. So there's a story there.
Yeah, JP and I wrote a book called Bond of Thread, and we did add about 30K words because we realized that there were all these unanswered questions and all these, we had to like go back and pepper in 1,000 words here and 1,000 words there and 1,000 words there just to make the, all the reveals at the end and all the twists at the end actually work.
Hooray! Right? But it's like, at the end, you're like, oh God, yay. I keep my stuff small. Like you're like I So my current work in progress is an illustrated homage to Fahrenheit 451. That's what I'm doing right now.
Fahrenheit 451.
It's the only book that's ever scared me.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yes. And so I came up with an idea that did something very similar, but I did it from the point of view of art, because I started learning how to draw, I started drawing during the pandemic. It was like one of those little, I had one of these eureka moments. Like, I was always terrified of sucking. And then I had this wonderful thought. So what if you suck? And I started drawing. Right?
It's amazing.
But, yeah, it's like, so what if you suck? It then suddenly you're not scared of anything anymore, and you're just doing your thing, and you don't care.
Yeah.
Right? So I've ended up drawing with some people that actually work for an animation studio. So it's just like, how did this happen? Magic, right? But anyways, the thing of it is, right, I'm like, so now I'm doing this, like, so I'm doing it from the point of view of what is a world where people have lost touch with their ability to connect with other mediums like art, and he's one of the things he gets into art and the story. And I can draw this story because I'm just getting into art too. So it looks, if it looks unfinished or it doesn't look good, it doesn't have to in this particular story, right? And it actually adds layers to the story, because it's like, hey, I can suck here, and it works.
There is something so magical about like the mise-en-scene around stories, whether it's the style of art or the formatting or the random descriptions peppered into the text. Like, what you choose to show matters just as much as what you're saying. It's so powerful.
Actually, I would argue that's the whole of the story.
Yeah.
Because honestly, what the big thing about you and me is, see, I can give a concept out, and you'll be like, okay, I have my way of seeing it, and I have my way of seeing it, right? And the thing is, they're two completely different stories.
Yeah.
But essentially, they're also still the same story. The
difference, it's like figure drawing. You're going to sit at the same figure. You're going to sit at different angles. You're going to draw in different mediums, and you're going to get different works of art. But it's also the same work of art. Like,
yes. That's it. I heard music in your background there.
Yes, that's my phone, which I'm going to now silence.
Yeah. No phones for you.
No, it's a co-author trying to get me to write, and I'm like, no, I'm on the air.
I'm on the air. Shame. Hey. That's right.
I'm sorry. I can't write and be here at the same time. I know. I'm a failure.
It's okay. The secret is, see, you just don't be here. I'm never here. It's the whole of my secret. It's
It's a great secret. Thank you for letting me in on it.
Yes. Okay, good. I like this. Okay, so you two have been friends for a very long time, I can tell.
Yes.
So,
well, a few years now.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're picking on each other a little bit. Yeah, I mean,
there's something about writing hundreds of thousands of words with someone that eventually all barriers go away, and you've seen each other at your worst, and you've seen each other at your best, and you know every single like writer quirk that annoys each other, and then you just love each other forever.
Well, that's the real nature of love, though. Ultimately,
yeah,
it's not like love is not. Oh, you're sweetest, cutest, little. No, it's not.
No,
that's not it. What it actually is can I be open enough for you to show you all my flaws, and will you still love me anyway? That's the true nature of love. It's not when things are good. It's when you see people and you see who they are, and can you still love them? And that's a big thing. And like I said, I have a sister, and she'll do all kinds of shit to me sometimes. Like when sometimes she did a drink and draw on one of my podcasts. She decided to draw better with her left hand than I could. But am I right? Just because she is that. I
have a father who does that.
Yes. Well, see, but what I realized with her, right, is okay. She doesn't do this with anybody else. I think that's probably all in all a good thing, because she literally, I think, crushed some people's spirits otherwise, right? But it's that ability to open up and just be herself and to have fun, know that I can take it, Although sometimes I may be crying in the corner just a little bit. That's okay, right? In all seriousness, she's letting herself be herself, and I've given her that freedom to be herself, and
that's a gift. Like that is something that you do for someone else, and it is not inconspicuous. Like it is a huge part of relationships. Is giving people space to let all the niceties and all of the rest go and just be themselves in a safe space without judgment and with occasional trolling.
Well, the trolling is inevitable. Just the trolling is inevitable. I'm sure JP has at least come up with 3 or 4 different ways of trolling you on this podcast that he's held back on just because he doesn't know me very well yet.
Yeah, right? I mean, on my server, he's literally the troll king. He trolls everyone very good naturedly.
Yes, and he's laughing because he's like, "Yep, no, I don't believe you. I
never trolled a single person in his life. I'm full of lies."
Yes, either way you said, either what you said no to, I don't believe either. It's like I think you've come up with at least 3 different ways to troll us, and on top of that, you probably do troll her board. No, I'm not being polite. That's fair. Hey, that's totally fair. But the thing about being polite, JP, is you get away with more shit.
It's true.
It's actually, you get away with a lot more shit if you're polite. I've learned this myself. I'm very polite. It's a very Canadian quality. But here's the thing. I now can say anything I want. And it's very, very liberating because I'm a polite person. I mean no harm. Ish. The things I've learned. The things I've gotten away with too. I've said some things that other people would get killed for. Well... there is a little bit of that baby still clubbing thing with me sometimes there, JB, to be fair. But there's also just that ability, like, once you realize, like, the biggest thing is, and you understand this, I'm sure, is it's about what people expect of you. Yeah. You're expected to troll. Ergo, you troll and you can get away with it. But it's almost like you have a contract with people based on how you behave with them. So you can defy expectations. You can defy expectations a little bit within that contract, and they'll let you get away with it. But what I find being polite is there's always that. The thing about being polite is there's always an underlying respect when you're polite, and because you got that underlying respect, you have more license to do like more shit. I've learned this.
Yeah, I got away with so much in school because I moved to the US for the first year of high school. And in Italy, the courses were much more advanced.
Yes.
So my entire first year of high school, I was doing schoolwork that I had already done. The math, the science, all of it. I was past that point. So the teachers all thought that I was some weird, like, genius child. And I got perfect grades. I was doing extra credit because I was bored. And then I never had to do anything after that. Because all the teachers were completely convinced that if I said the dog ate my homework, the dog had actually eaten my homework, and never mind, I didn't have a dog.
Nope, she's just Italian there, author. JP, Mr. JP, she's just Italian.
Yeah, sorry to...
It's okay. Listen, I'll build you up. Allegra, you're a genius, a super genius, in that Wile E. Coyote kind of way.
If only.
She'll lie. Would you like a hug, JP? Would you like a hug? Did you feel lied to? Do you need a hug? I can give you like a Demolition Man style hug, right?
Yeah. Here. All the hugs.
Yes, that's right. Okay, there you go. Big hug. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3. We heart you, JP.
So much.
That's right. She does. I just don't. I'm just being nice because I understand the pain of being lied to. It's like, there, or something. Oh, that's a mistake. Like I said, this has been a super serious conversation so far.
So serious.
Super serious.
Mm-hmm.
So you do a lot of co-writing, apparently.
Yes. Almost all my books.
All your books are co-written.
Almost.
Almost.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just like I like working in like a band environment where I'm working with somebody, I'm jamming with them kind of deal? Is it I'm the cleaner? I go in and I clean up everybody else's ideas, or
You
is it
know,
I just
it's
enjoy
it's
people?
because, like, for me, it really is greater than the sum of its parts. It takes something that could be work and turns it into play. And you finally have someone who's just as invested and just as excited about the work you're doing as you are, and you get together and spend hours and hours and hours doing something you love together. Like, that is so invigorating. And it ends up, I'll write with a co-author for an hour, and I'm so jazzed that I'll go and write on my own books for a couple of more hours after that, because there's so much just dynamic synergy and energy going on. And so once you start, it's really hard to stop. It's really hard not to be like, I want everything to be co-written, because it's so much fun.
So do you two have a band name?
We do not have a band name. We do have a publishing group name.
Okay, you should have a band name.
We should have a band name.
Yes. JP, what's your band name? Co-authoring, kind of like cocaine. Okay. So not that I'm judging, but is it too a wonderful drug? If anyone gets that joke, congratulations. That's the band name. So kind of like cocaine is the band name.
Apparently.
Co-authoring doesn't actually sound like a really cool like band name. Kind of like cocaine.
Like cocaine actually does.
Yeah, it actually does sound like a band name. So I'm just saying, like, so if that's a band name, like literally that's going to be in the episode description. I'm going to warn you.
Great, fabulous.
Yes, yeah.
Just what I wanted to be associated with.
Yeah, exactly. So like just cut out the co-authoring, put the kind of like cocaine, put like fictional, and just put fictional lines on. I'm a terrible human being. I'm a terrible human being. Fictional lines on a T-shirt with an actual word, maybe a little bit of stuff that's been partially snorted.
Listen, I'm writing a book where characters snort bone dust. It's par for the course this week.
It's okay. I'm not. I don't. That's the other thing about doing this podcast. I don't judge anybody anymore. I've learned not to do anything. I have heard enough stories on this show where it's just like, you know what? I don't know fucking anything.
People are weird. Wonderful, but weird.
Yes. Oh no. And that weirdness is part of their wonder.
Yes.
So I can't judge, and I am certainly weird myself. I can't actually say it's like I'm not weird. No, I can definitely say it. I am. But it's just one of those things where it's just like, this has been one of those chats. Like this might be up there. Like when the year is evaluated, because I do a few hundred of these, but some of them, some of these chats really stick out, right? Kind of like cocaine. Okay. And if you guys don't use it, I will so steal it. I know exactly what book I'd put that in for one of my projects.
Excellent. I want 20% royalties and a dedication in the back.
I can get you the dedication. If I make a T-shirt, you get royalties. Deal?
Fantastic. I'll take it.
Okay, yes. Hey. Hey, what? What? You fight with her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, JP, but I don't think you can take me.
You heard that. Hey, JD. Hey, JD Sixon, yes.
This is basically my cadre of co-authors are showing up mostly to mess with me while I'm live on the air.
Yes. Bring it. Bring it, comma, bitch. Oh my gosh. So listen. So my money's on Allegra. I'm just gonna say that right now. My money is on Allegra. It seems like a safe bet. Right. And I'm not saying you're not a tough guy, author JP. I don't know you well enough to say that you are or aren't a tough guy, but something just tells me she could be just both.
I have a lot of canes. You can hit real hard with a cane.
Yeah, well, okay. Now I'm thinking of a stupid beer commercial. There's this beer commercial where they were raiding the fridge, and everybody would steal the fridge. It finally got into the hands of this old man with a cane. So all these guys are surrounding him. He goes, "Okay, who wants to be the hero?" Right? Who wants to be the hero? It's like, might just be worth letting them have the beer. It just might be worth it. So I'm just saying, JP, you might just be worth it. I got her on the T-shirt. If I use it in the story, I'm in the clear. Dedication's all right. That's it. I'm in the clear. Right. So I was smart, right? Because
you got a pretty good deal.
Yeah. Well, I just don't want you to come beat me with a cane.
But I mean, I get royalties on something that just kind of came out of a random chat.
Yeah.
So I think we both win. The only person who loses is JP.
Yeah. Well, that's between you two. I'm not going to get into that. Because if I get into that, I'm going to lose, right? So I'm going to just lose that battle. It's just like, what the hell? Like,
half of what I do is random things that come out of these chats. Like at one point I was on an interview and one of my co-authors just comes in and says, yeah, you're the plot mom of our collective. And then the entire audience and my interviewer bullied me until I made a plot mom YouTube channel. So that's how I got my YouTube channel. Apparently now this is how I get my band, kind of like cocaine.
Yeah, kind of like cocaine. It's like I know exactly where it's going to be where it's going to fit.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, again, 'tis the way. Yes. So here's the thing. So I opened up this one novel I'm working on right now, and so Vancouver, British Columbia has like these hidden little places where you can go get cool shit. I'm sure other big cities have it. So I decided, it'd be very interesting to go to one of these places where it's actually just falling apart at random while you're in there. Right. So that every time you go in there, it's kind of like you're gambling that you're going to be the one in to see the whole damn thing collapse. But at the same time, that's part of the charm of the place. So in a place like that, something like cocaine would totally perform. Maybe you can just get beamed in the head with like rubble. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It might happen.
It'd be perfect stage.
Mm-hmm. Totally perfect stage. So it's like I'm just saying that might be the plan. I'm just gonna let you know that up front. I'm not sure if that is gonna be the plan, right? So,
well, I mean, kind of look like cocaine concerts are like Fight Club. We don't talk about them, but everyone knows it's happening.
Well, if you go into a bar scene long enough, you see things there too, and you're like, okay, that's just how it is. Like you just one of those things where you just look at it and go, I don't fully understand how this works, but here we are.
Yeah. Half of traveling was just like, well, this is happening. Let's do it.
Yes. So JD, does she cocaine's how she gets you hooked on projects?
Absolutely.
Okay, as long as I
no. I mean, it is. I mean, if we're talking about things that are kind of like cocaine, I feel like really juicy story ideas are up there.
They're right.
Because you dangle one in front of an author, and suddenly they write a manuscript.
Or sometimes they'll tell a story right in front of you.
It's true.
If you get a whole bunch of authors, so one little thing I do when I do conventions is I do what's called a Dr. Seuss off.
Ooh.
So you get grown ass authors reading Dr. Seuss in different voices. I've seen an operatic performance of Cat in the Hat. That's amazing. I've seen a Valley Girl voice of Fox and Socks. I've seen a Russian voice of the same story. Right. I've been used as a prop. Like that's the thing. It's my easiest panel ever too. That's the other reason thing. Like it's easy. I just show up with Dr. Seuss books and encourage people to go nuts. And then
that's amazing. Nuts. So my favorite one is gibberish poems.
Okay.
You ask someone to write a poem entirely in gibberish. And then you have them read it aloud. Even better, you have them pass it to the person on their right and read each other's poems aloud. Everyone's gibberish sounds so completely different from everyone else's gibberish. It's utter magic.
It's almost like the whisper game. You whisper a secret, Mickey Mouse brother, and at some point just garbles up to something completely.
It's exactly that, but right. Like on fast forward.
It's like. It's like yeah.
Everyone is laughing like. Just crying and laughing by the end of it.
So I figured out like we're talking about we haven't talked about marketing much. I don't know if we're going to talk about it too much today, but my first lesson was my very first book signing, and I was a flake. I'm just going to say this straight up. I did everything you could imagine wrong. I didn't put enough advertising in. I didn't look like I was making an effort, and on top of that, the building was hidden. So when I should have made that effort, but I didn't. So here I am thinking, how am I going to get people to come to the store? So this is what I did. I took arrows to the sidewalk and had people, like big giant arrows. And the thing about that is people followed those arrows just to see where it would go.
People follow arrows but don't read signs.
What? That's because it's overload. It's overload. Because an arrow is simple.
Yes, very.
Right? An arrow is simple. Some signs are simple, and they do read those signs. But if you go like you go to I used to work at a convenience store in the States, and I was looking at all these different signs around them. What happens is you become desensitized to this shit because what happens is, okay, let's see, this thing beside this thing beside another thing, and I just don't, and my brain's just saying, don't want that, I don't want it anymore. But
yep.
Yeah, curiosity, yes, JD is fiction. Curiosity, indeed, but also fun. If you make something fun, you want. There are two lies. Every person, you can tell a person's liar. Two things they say. First off, they hate ice cream because no one hates all ice cream. They might not like flavors of ice cream, but no one hates all ice cream. If you hear that, you're probably.
I've known one person who was telling the truth. They grew up in an ice cream shop.
That would be fair. that might not be a dislike. That just might be just
yeah.
That might be oversaturation. Get them away from the ice cream shop for a few years. He probably might.
They'll be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other lie is I don't want to play. Bullshit. Right? Bullshit. Make it playful, make it fun, and so many people are going interested. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. Nuh-uh. Sensory overload, author J.P. Bernison is, like I said, you ask around. If someone, and you ask, here's the question you ask people. If someone told you didn't like ice cream, would you believe them? You know what the universe, like 100% of people tell you? No. Nuh-uh. It's my show, author JP. I say I'm right. I'm right.
I have an entire business plan for an ice cream shop sitting on my hard drive. Ice cream is like pinnacle food.
Yeah, well, no one hates it. No one hates it, right? So, But yes, I can see why you said JP's the troll king.
Yeah.
Right?
So my first author signing was scheduled for March 21st, 2020, which was the day the stay-at-home orders went into effect.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I have never had a book signing.
Ooh. So my first book signing was at 21 years old. And that was the first lesson I learned from my book signing. Make people play, people will find you. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
Right. Make it fun, and people will find you.
People crave play.
Yes.
When you get past grade school and suddenly play is something that you are supposed to do at designated times or in designated places, and it's supposed to be come after your homework and that kind of nonsense, that is so counter to the way we work. Make something fun and people will do it with alacrity. If you need to do something for work, find the funnest way to do it. If you want to do an art form, find one that you are giggling and ecstatic when you're working on. It's so much more fulfilling, and it's just a better way to live.
Actually, especially in the nerds, JD, they all love to play. You go, if you want to play a game, right? That's right. Like TPing someone's house, that's a specific time, designated play time. That's not saying I know how that works or not. I'm not incriminating anybody here today. But and as I've gotten older, I've gotten sillier. I've gotten sillier, and I give a shit more or less.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't have time or energy to bullshit people. I tell people the truth, and I figure, yeah, sure, I will be blunt, but they'll know that I'm telling the truth. So when I'm saying something nice, I'm also blunt about it. And same with joy. I just refuse to do things unless they are necessary for survival that don't bring some amount of joy. or in a way that is as joyful as possible.
Well, like, but I mean, it's gotten kind of like to me to the point where like I don't flinch at anything anymore. I mean, anything. Like um, first off, JD, horror writers tend to like to murder things. I've noticed this about horror writers. Right, there's usually some form of murder, even if it's imaginary. Not gonna. Again, I don't judge. And the second part there, is the second part to that is what I've learned is now I've gotten older. Like this was the fun. So it was I got a ticket because I forgot to pay fare for a C train in the city. So I think I made the cops very uncomfortable because I really didn't give a shit. I wasn't like not cooperating. I
Yeah.
also wasn't like scared. I mean, I was nervous when there was 5 of them, but 2 of them, I was totally chill. It's like, okay, you got me. you got me. Right? Yeah, but I mean, but there was just that they looked at me afterwards like, you act very weird. It's like, I'm sorry, this is what I am at this point. I mean, what do you want? Because I don't have time to be scared. I don't have time. I just don't. If I'm not enjoying it, if I have to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna be like, okay, am I done? Great, bye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I spent an inordinate amount of time just trying to weigh things off of, what will I regret more, doing this or doing or not doing this or not doing that. And it's really a nice way to live because it lets me cut through bullshit real quick. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I could do this very boring thing that won't really affect the people I love or me or my home or my pets or my job. It's just something that people say that you have to do. All right? Why?
Yeah, exactly. I'm at that point. It's like, so why am I doing this? Well, because I have to do it. And that's the other thing. Too, like, you just stop caring about what it looks like anymore. Just like because it doesn't really matter. What matters is what do you feel doing it?
Yeah.
Because here's
As
the
long
thing.
as it's not hurting anyone.
Yeah.
My favorite example of this is getting dressed properly. Like, it's something we're told we're supposed to do. You're supposed to like get dressed in a manner that is appropriate and all that. And yes, you have to like cover all the bits and legally, and weather-wise, you have to make sure that you're dressing appropriately for the weather. But the amount of enjoyment I get from walking into a grocery store in like a toothless kigurumi versus a pair of jeans and a t-shirt is exponential.
Yeah, totally. No. So I'm at a slightly different phase. Like I'm actually suiting up more now as I've gotten older, but it's not. There's a confidence that comes with it for me.
Yes.
Right. I'm not doing it because, hey, in a perfect world, JT socks would be all I'd wear. But that's another. Right?
In a perfect world, I would never wear socks or shoes.
Yeah, fair enough. And everybody acts a little different, right? And that's cool. But right. But the thing is, I was challenged. Like, how do you imagine yourself to be, and what do you think that looks like? And for me, I realized, like, for me, when I suit up and stuff like that, I care. There's a certain aura and a confidence, and I've noticed that with everybody around me. Like one of my current freelance gigs, I'm actually dressing down from what I normally from dress. It's actually hilarious to me. It's like you got to wear the uniform, but I dress better than the uniform. Like, why am I doing this, right? And then why I'm like, well, you've become a little vainer as you've gotten older. And it's like, yeah, okay, I can live. I can
That's
live
fine.
with that.
Yeah, but it gives you something, right?
Yeah,
like it's something that you do because it makes you feel more you or more confident or more.
Yeah. Well, it's also
possessed.
It's also for me. It's I guess for me it's different because when I was younger, I mean, in terms of I still don't really care. I care more, but it's about for me in this case. It's about self care. It's not about because I'm doing it because everybody expects me to do it.
Exactly.
I'm doing it because this is how I see myself. And when that changes, when I give it no shits about this anymore, right? I'm going to be the 80-year-old dude in like a the equivalent of whatever Metallica t-shirt, heavy metal band. I'll have obnoxious buttons as I jump out of an airplane, and people will be like, "Why you can't do this?" Like, what are you gonna do to stop me? I'm 80 years old. I have no fucks to give. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've already decided that the moment I turn gray, I'm dyeing my hair bright rainbow. I don't want to do it now. That's not what I feel like. But boy, do I want to be a rainbow-haired crazy grandma.
Hey, listen. Hey, you can be the best. So, are you gonna be the crazy grandma stealing stuff at like the grocery store?
Probably not. So when I was a kid, someone broke into our car, and they broke into our car to deposit a bag full of zucchini because they had grown too many zucchini. And like that is the aesthetic I want as a grandma. Someone who's like aggressively flinging produce at people and having like weird adventures that are way not age appropriate.
Well, see, because again, grandmas don't like the reason why they like I mentioned the stealing produce is I had this epiphany when I was working at a grocery store. Why do they care? Because if you throw them in jail, I mean, they're at the end of their lives.
Exactly.
Hey,
I always figured if you want to become an assassin, the best time is in your 80s.
Yeah, but by the way, like author JP, this is why I told you you're going to pay her for the royalties because you got to fight her. I'm not getting involved. All right, you guys come to an arrangement. You come to an arrangement, but she may throw pumpkins and other things at you. So I'm just warning you up front. All right, so.
I do have some squashes in my garden that would be excellent clubs.
Yes. So, listen, when you get to that age, just nobody I know, okay?
Okay, I promise. Nobody you know, only political figures and people who kick puppies.
Okay. I don't ask questions.
Excellent.
All right? Okay, so, yes, they are. Pumpkins are for smashing, and Smashing Pumpkins is a decent band. I'm not gonna argue. Decent. Great, I'm not so sure, but decent, I won't argue. Right? So that we can debate bands another time. But again, I most of the bands I like I tend to be in a mosh pit for. So I'm that dude. Right? So
I wish I could be.
You can. So
no, I can't.
No, you can. Hear my story. I'm gonna tell you a really fun story.
Okay. Let's hear it.
So, the band is Amon Amarth. Do you know who they are?
No.
They are a Viking death metal band.
I love it.
Okay, so this is the encore. Okay, right? And the thing about that is, so you're in the pit. You're fighting in the pit for everything. Everybody's fighting. Something like beamed in the head. It's like, oh, ow! And I look up. There's a crowd surfing wheelchair.
That's beautiful.
In this concert. So, right? Oh, no, they're fantastic. JD, they are great at what they do. There's no doubt about that. Like they're great at what they do, and they are fun live. We actually shook the building. So the thing is, yes, you can. Doesn't matter whether you got a cane. Yes, you can. And ironically, metal shows are your best chance. Maybe you can't go into the heart of the pit, but I promise you, if you go in there, and everybody sees what you got, and you're going in there having a good time, they'll protect you. There's a little bit like one of those little rules about the mosh pit is interesting. If someone goes down, everybody stops, pick them up, right, and you put them back up. It is healthy aggression, as I would call it. It's healthy aggression. I mean, I've been hit harder in the mosh pit than I've been hit at work, mind you. When I was working at a factory, a warehouse, like stocking stuff, I mean, I've had walls fall on me that were less harder than some of the hits I took in the pit. But if I go down, someone's there to pick me up. If people go like, you could show up. Don't smack people with your cane. Please don't.
Alas, I go down if someone literally like touches me. Every single bone in my body dislocates like at a whim. I've literally dislocated my ribs sneezing.
Okay, so then what you do is you show up. You give it
in a bubble. You could show up in one of those actual bubbles.
Yeah. Just show up in the bubble. and you'll get crowd surfed in your bubble.
That would be fabulous.
Yeah, you go in there, you just go up. That's all you gotta do. It's like up, like this. You're gonna shut.
Like a beach ball.
That's right. No, that's what would happen. That's totally what would happen. So I mean, like
new life goal.
But yeah, no, it could it totally would happen. People will come up to you. It's like, what? They see it's Kane. They see you with everything like that. And they'll be like, oh, okay. So we can't. You're not gonna get like I wouldn't go in the heart of the pit because you're gonna get hit there.
Yeah.
But on the edges, and if you decide to go up, they put you up, a bubble and all. And people be like, oh my god, this is like the coolest thing ever. Like right. They said, I've seen people in wheelchairs. Like I said, I got dinged in my head with a wheelchair.
And those things are hard.
Oh, it was. But when you get dinged in, like I said, you get dinged, like, ow, what the hell? And then you look up. Oh my god, it's a wheelchair. Like, pain goes away when you see something like that.
Yeah, there's something marvelous where you see something unexpected and it just breaks through the veil of mundanity and brightens everything. Like,
yeah.
The unexpected is actually happening. Hallelujah.
It happens all the time.
It does.
I think our perceptions sometimes limit us for what we can see. But if you are open to it, you'll see all kinds of weird and wacky and wonderful things around you all the time. It's not unknown at all.
No.
Right?
You just have to be open to it and be ready to embrace it. Like, there's this... So, I've told the story a million times, but it's one of the most formative things that I've ever read. Someone did a scientific study about luck. And I have a lot of feelings about luck. I go on for hours and hours and hours. But the scientific study basically was structured like this. They did a onboarding screening where they asked all the participants, do you consider yourselves lucky or do you consider yourself unlucky? And then they said, okay, now you have to sit in this waiting room for an hour and we'll call you when it's your turn to have the actual test. And they were filming the entire time in the waiting room. And what they'd done was that they'd scattered all these opportunities and cool things and neat little pieces of information all over the room. And almost to a T, everyone who said that they considered themselves unlucky just sat there and maybe read something, maybe just twiddled their thumbs, waited the hour, and then went into their follow-up interview. And everyone who said, I'm a lucky person, engaged with their surroundings, read things, looked around, walked around, were just curious about the world around them. And like in that way, I do think that we make our own luck, and we make them. The more you give to the world, the more you engage, the more you get back.
So so one of my buddies, I'm gonna make perfectly blunt. Probably I used to play Magic. Oh, okay. First off, put that in there. Hey, JD, trouble's part of life too. Enjoy it, right? But so I used to be a big Magic the Gathering player. Now I'm just a commander guy, but I used to be a really big game. My biggest rival was my buddy, or was one of my roommates. He might truthfully be the best player I've ever played against. He used to always think of himself as lucky, and he was. Sometimes you could play a perfect game against him, and he still would just draw what he needed to win. He had that to him. But he was also a really good player. It wasn't like when I played him, he just lucked his way into victory. He thought things through. He was one of the best resource managers I've ever played against, right? He knew what he was doing. But he also had that little extra oomph of, you can still outplay him, and he'll still sometimes get you anyway. Been in that situation with him. So, what I will say is I do think there is a degree of luck in the world. I think life is inherently unfair, but I don't actually think that's a bad thing. I think that's actually overall a good thing. So if life was fair, I think most of us would be dead. To be perfectly honest with you, most of us. Life is unfair, and that gives us an opportunity. That always gives us an opportunity to do something different and better and wonderful. And I've learned this through my own trials and errors. But the other thing I want to kind of point out too is one of the biggest lesson I learned in the pandemic was, again, something I said earlier, people fall in love with ideas,
Yes.
right? That's right. Or like if life is perfect, you're already dead. That's how I look at it there. But no, I how do I put this? So what I've learned is if people have an idea of how the world works, that is how the world works to them. There's no ifs, there's no ands,
Yes.
no buts. That's how the world works for them. And so there's two things you can do, and I realize that maybe and I like they can't see the same things you do, but I also realize because they're so invested in their ideas that might be for the best. Because the way you shatter a human mind is if you um, expose them to an idea they're not ready for, or an idea that's contrary to how they see the world. That's how you shatter a mind. Because what happens is you take their illusion away, and if they're not ready for that illusion to disappear, it's actually incredibly painful to people. So right. So it's one of those things where I've learned in the last 2 years, I have seen that and we're all guilty of this to some degree, is we all embrace illusions of various sorts to get us through whatever we're going through. And sometimes they're useful, but sometimes, right, but
They hold
sometimes
you back.
they hold you back. Actually, more often than not, they do hold you back.
Yeah.
Right? More often than not, they do.
Even when they're pleasant, or even particularly when they're pleasant.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. I think cynicism is the worst emotion we have. I actually agree with Conan O'Brien. It's the absolute worst emotion because it doesn't do anything for you.
No.
Right? It can protect you for a very short period of time. Maybe there's a point where you really, really
It's a defense mechanism.
Yeah, it totally is. And to some degree, there might be a time you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not always.
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing, right? Like life is a wonderful illusion there, JD, is fiction. Like life, the layers of trauma, the illusion of safety, illusion of trust, so on. That is totally true. But it's also like we all, to some degree, live in an illusion because none of us see the full world. None of us are capable of seeing the full picture. We just can't. It's too big. So we come up with our own version of what we think the world is, right? That's not entirely a bad thing because we have some context to go forward.
If we were looking at the full majesty and chaos of everything at all times, we would never move. It's too big. It's too great.
Yeah. So we form our own barriers for it, and to some degree, they're necessary. But what a lot of us don't realize is that they are just that, illusions.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you read Illusions by Richard Bach?
I have not.
Oh, it's one of my childhood favorite books. It talks really about this, about how we build illusions and how the world is so different from how we perceive it. Like how we perceive it is just how we perceive it.
No, I totally. I like. It's actually one of my arguments with my dad now that I'm older / wiser. Mm-hmm. We'll decide on the wise another day. That's another day for another podcast. But my dad would go. He used to say when I was like in my teenage, adult, formative years, one day you'll understand how the world works. I'm a realist. So I thought he was full of shit then. I didn't understand why until I was a little older. It's like, and I realized. So now I go, no, you're not real. You know less than I do. It's like you know as much as I do. This is what you've chosen to go with. And sometimes, again, when we argue a little bit more now, but it's healthy for both of us to do this. We'll argue more, but we'll listen to each other more too, right? Well, sometimes we'll see the same thing, but in a very different way. But again, I'm old enough and wise enough to know that what I see is an illusion, right? Now, it might be a pleasant illusion, and maybe it's the illusion I need right now.
Yeah.
But as I try to get closer to whatever the truth actually is, I have to let these illusions go. I can't be cynical. I cannot. Positivity, a lot of people think that it's fully. I actually, it's the ultimate defense mechanism, because what happens is now you have let yourself I'm going to expose myself to the truth, and it's going to hurt sometimes. And this mechanism is here now to help me cope with the things I'm uncomfortable with, to help me get to wherever it is I'm supposed to go. You can't do that with cynicism. You cannot do that with negativity. And while there is
positivity. Like I think that there's some real truth to the Buddhist philosophy. It's about surrender.
Yes.
It's about taking your internal biases and letting them go and opening yourself up to the fact that they are just your biases.
Yes.
And it hurts and it's painful. It's like shedding a skin. You have to like rip them apart, and that is not a painless process.
No, oh no! It's also a Christian concept, actually, too. It's right, but like this is it's a very universally religious concept. I'm sure it's got some Hindu, some Muslim. I'm sure it's there too. No, you have to. Again, it's that understanding that the world is bigger than you, and that you're just a cog in the wheel. And now,
but at the same time, that you are also the center of a universe.
Oh no! That's the paradox. That's the one that right. That's the paradox, right? But the big thing you gotta understand is like you're a part of this system, right? Right. Most everything is about balance. JD's fiction. I think the real challenge is what is that balance, right? Most of us really don't have a good answer to that question, right?
And I kind of see it different. I don't think it is about balance. It's about accepting that incongruous things are true at the same time.
Oh yeah. Well, or in a way. But like I said, what I've learned in this life is like, again, I tend to use a positive mindset for what I do, because what I've noticed is it allows me to cope with the negative things. Now that doesn't mean that I'm going to have it's all going to magically work out and all. No, I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to say is okay. I love Jock Wilmont's good little video. It's one of my favorite things. He says, no matter how bad it gets, and this is a dude that's seen some really shitty stuff, right? There is good that comes from it. Yeah. If you can see the good that comes from it, you can like move forward. And that is a good way to, no pun intended, a good way to look at life, right? So and I think that for me, that's why I embrace the positive mindset more than anything else, is because I can see the good in everything. If I can see the good in everything, but be conscious enough to acknowledge that maybe this is a shitty deal, right? I can actually, at that point, I'm never attached to an idea. I'm just simply going.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, the way I've phrased it, and again, I've thought so much about this, is this concept that you can't get lost if you don't know what your destination is. Yeah. That when you let go of your expectations, not your hopes, not your fears, not your dreams, but your expectations specifically, then there is no wrong way to go. Like, okay, I'm going to turn right or turn left. Well, I don't know where I'm going, so I'm just going to turn the way that feels right at the time.
Well, actually,
and the fear goes away, right?
That's my 10th rule. My 10th rule is when all else fails, pick the path that seems the most fun.
Yeah.
When all else fails.
And like the number of times, the best memories I've made in my life, half of the time they come from these impulsive decisions where I didn't know what I was doing, but I wasn't afraid of not knowing what I was doing. And it's, a lot of people in my life are very much perfectionist and methodical people, and I love them. The work that they do is meticulous and beautiful. But it is like so different from my perception, because what I love to do is just jump in and learn to swim while paddling around in the pool, and learn to publish while writing, putting out my first book.
So I think perfection's hell. Like, I legitimately think perfection's hell, because what I realize is that what perfection actually is stillness. So this is what I do. I pursue greatness. I don't pursue perfection. Oh, you need chaos. Like chaos is a necessity. In fact, it's when it's most real. So when I used to do this podcast back in the day, I used to actually interview people in actual restaurants and bars. And I would keep every little thing. And there's actually an interview back in my archives on my YouTube channel where we go from one restaurant to the other. And I actually kept the whole thing in there. I didn't have to, but I did. And one of my buddies goes, "Why did you do that?" Because he goes, "Did you like it?" It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Why? Why did you like it?" And the reason why is this: chaos makes it real.
Yeah.
It's that little bit of chaos that actually adds to it, right?
But even there, like I think there's value in stillness. There's value in repetition and
Oh,
and the and this like search for the best possible. Like, the difference between a home cook who cooks whatever that's coming in their garden and a sushi chef who has been perfecting one cut their whole life, and one has just as much value as the other. There's just different ways of approaching a life. But for those who do want to embrace that creativity, that freedom, there is something so empowering about just launching and building the airplane on the way down.
Going to the cooking thing, cooking that perfect or as close to that perfect piece. The thing is, they'll tell you they don't make a perfect piece. What's happened is, what they'll tell you is they've done this so much, they just see so many other levels to go. You or I may not be able to see the flaws in what they do, but they do. They know exactly what they do well, what they don't do well, and it's about, that's a journey. But again, it's still a journey of change.
It's still a journey. Yes.
Yeah, it's still a journey. It's just, instead of I'm going to splash in the pool with it without a paddle, right? Right? Like, yes, yeah, exactly. Like you get to a point where like you again, there's passion in that too. That passion of trying to make that, to perfect that move, perfect that art, perfect that writing. There's a passion and there's a pursuit of again, that pursuit of greatness. Perfection is beyond reach. Right?
Absolutely.
But
always.
But change, growth is never beyond reach. In fact, the better you get at something, the more you can do. And it doesn't matter what it is. Right?
Yeah. The best part is knowing that you're not there yet. Like the grasping that like I'm gonna get a new skill, I'm gonna get something new, and it's exciting because then you're enriching your experience with every single step forward, and it doesn't matter that there's no end goal. Like it doesn't matter that the end is unachievable. Like you are journeying and you are experiencing and you are living.
Yeah, the only thing is if you can let go at some point. Okay, so Eminem, I love his, like, again, one of the best lyricists of our time.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, one of the best lyricists of our time. He will be playing with his music all the way to the very wire when he has to hand it in. But there's a point even he lets go.
Oh,
but again, he'll tell you. I mean, it's like you can hear it.
He doesn't let go of the journey of making music. He'll let go of one song.
Exactly. Like that's the thing. Like that's the trap, right? That's the real trap. When you're a writer and you're putting a book together, it's about being as good as you can be. And you can look back and see some of the things that you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? And no one else will know this shit but you. No one will know this shit
no
but
one.
You. Right? But
one of the things I decided very deliberately was I made my first book into an audiobook, and I dropped a big chunk of money doing that. And part of the reason I did that was I wanted to immortalize that moment. I wanted to say, when I published my first book, this was as good as I knew how to be. That was my best effort. It is not my best effort today. If I were to rewrite it, it would be different. But what I'm putting out today is my best effort today. And I want that to keep expanding. I don't feel any need to go back and re-edit or change or re-release that, because it's a snapshot of a whole different person.
And also, you really can't. That's the other thing too. The here's the thing, right? I can technically speaking be a better writer than I was the day before. But that old story I did 5 years ago, can I have the same emotional investments that I had 5 years ago? I can't. There's no way. So I can do a different story, and I can do that better. But going back and rewriting that old story because it's missing some pieces that I see I could add. I mean, there might be some like odds and ends, like maybe fixing a spelling error or polishing.
Yeah, sure.
But when you get right down to it, I can't do it. I can't do it. Terry Pratchett did a book called The Carpet People. He said that was the hardest thing about that book. 14-year-old Terry Pratchett. I can't do that voice. I cannot do it. I can edit it to some degree, but I can't do it. Right? And
yeah,
right, and that's it.
They are all of the artistic life is about taking snapshots of yourself.
Yeah.
And then letting people do whatever they like, letting them go. And people will love them, people will hate them, people will make them part of themselves or can never even know they existed.
Well, I'm okay with people liking me or hating me. If you like me, you'll pay me. If you hate me, you'll probably pay me more, actually, which is actually a weird thing about today's time and age. Like, I hate that guy, and you're going to give me more money for it. Don't understand. You don't understand. But that's it. Again, humans are weird.
People are weird.
Yeah, humans are weird and wonderful. Yeah, but I mean, you can see it. It works. Can't argue with it, right? So, but no, like, that's the thing. Like, I realized, like, I let go of perfection. I try, like you said, I try to keep the good that comes from everything mindset, not positivity and the, it's going to be all wonderful and snowflakey. Hey, no. Hey, author JB, it's the truth. It is the absolute truth. I've embraced my crazy. I'm good with it. Right? I am the only, and I'm very, very good with it. So good with it, in fact, that I think I make some other people uncomfortable because I'm just that open.
Same.
It's like,
I think people are very intimidated by people who refuse to be anyone other than themselves.
Yes. Well, no, it's true. It's absolutely true. Like I've seen it even with myself. Younger me, I call myself arrogant. Now I'm just a super confident. I'm unapologetic. I'm the bitch. In fact, like I said, pandemics made me bolder. It's made me bolder because it's like I just don't got time for this shit. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to do my thing. And if you're uncomfortable with it, that's it. I don't care. I'm doing my thing. Right? I'm not going to make you do my thing with me. Just,
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. So, and that's one of the things I've learned. Like, you're here to be yourself, whatever that looks like. Right? And that's it.
It's true. I always may have this fight. And I always feel like I should be spending some time writing something commercial, writing something that will put food on the table. And then I start writing it. I'm like, I could write this if it was what I was passionate about. Like, if I find the right idea that happens to be commercially viable, that happens to put food on my table, fabulous. Cool. I love things that fulfill multiple functions. But I can't put that kind of energy into something that isn't genuine. Like, I write weird, wacky, genre-bending, co-authored, interwoven, mad worlds. And if I didn't, it wouldn't be my writing. It would be me pretending to be another writer, putting out books because someone told me to.
But also at the same time, so then your job is to do what I'm doing. Like, okay, here I do epic poetry.
Mm-hmm.
I do epic poetry with telling stories. Like I accidentally got traditionally published with accidentally wrote it, accidentally got it published the first time. Right? The Alice stuff came back by the editor's request. And I'm like, I could try to be like everybody else. And you know what? There are stories that I don't mind. I think maybe where you and I may be slightly different is I can do a more formulaic story.
Oh, I can too. I just did a freelance story for a ghost written story, and they gave me exactly what I had to write, and I wrote it because I needed to fund something, and it was fine. It was fun. It was a new experience to write exactly what someone wanted. Cool.
Yeah. But at the same time, like I'm talking like even just my original works, I think I could do something more formulaic, but it and again it's like, could I do that pop song? Yes. Could I do it forever? No. Right. I would go slowly batshit crazy.
But the things that we do love, the things that are genuine to us, we could do forever. It won't be the same forever. We may not, it will evolve with us. But I want to be working on work that I want to do forever. Like, I want to be working on work that I'm so excited to work on it that I will stay up late and get up early. And, if I'm not excited and engaged, then, like, why am I doing that thing and not some other thing that would make me excited and engaged?
If it doesn't make me happy, it doesn't pay the bills, or gives me an orgasm, I don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's right. And it's like,
or do some good for the world.
Yeah. I'm in a slightly weird place about this, about the good for. No, I do. Okay, so if I ever make it as a writer or a podcaster or whatever that other creative stuff I do, I made a promise to myself that whatever city I lived in, I'd open a soup kitchen. Because I remember when I was a kid, I remember being poor. I remember what it was like to have nothing and wondering where my next meal was coming from. And even that one simple little act is a big difference. But the thing I realized something else too. I'm not, by the way, taking their side or anything like that. But I also understand why these billionaires don't do anything, because here's the sad little truth: they're not obligated to. Right? And honestly, in that one sense, they're not wrong. Right? Now, you might disagree with, the rocket ship stuff. You might disagree with some of the other crap that's going on right now. Right? And part of me, again, going back to the nature thing of humanity is weird. If I had stupid piles of money, I would be doing stupid shit with it too. I am almost guaranteed, certainly going to be that guy. But so what I realize is, something like, again, good for the vast majority of us is relative. So yes. I think so for me, I kind of look at it like this now. If I have the power to do something, but I don't necessarily believe in it, I probably shouldn't be that person doing it. What I should do is I should do the good things that I can grasp that need to be done. And that's all I can do. It's all maybe I should do, even if I have the tools to do more, because I think it's much like anything else. If my heart ain't in it, it ain't going to be good.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
So we do better. We are enthusiastic about.
Oh, absolutely. So I mean, on the one hand, I'm looking at these obnoxious guys with more money than brains, and questioning our government sanity, and not in some cases jailing some of those guys. Some cases, right? But on the other hand, I also realize that maybe these aren't the people that should be making the world a better place, because I don't think they're necessarily the people capable of making the world a better place. And when I had that thought, I realized, okay, maybe I understand why they're not, and maybe it is a good thing, right?
Maybe on the other hand, my joy comes from eating the rich. Who knows?
Hey, author JP, I don't think your government has brains, integrity, transparency. The only thing your government has is a title. I think at this point, I think at this point that's where you're at, and ours is not much better, right? So, but that's my. But again, it comes down to the fact that, like, I realized something very important. Like, it's just like, if I have a gift, hey, no. We're not going to go down the political road tonight, Mr. JP. I agree with both of you on this. But if another conversation for another day, the only thing I'm going to say is I realize my culpability in this problem. And if we're going to be very honest, we all are. And that's right. If we're going to be honest about that, and that's something I've realized too. So I don't know how to fix that kind of complacency. So instead, I'm going to worry about, okay, what can I do to make the world a better place?
Yeah,
that's all right.
And but if everyone does a little act of kindness or a little bit here and there within their means, within their ability, without burning themselves out, it gets better.
Well, and the truth, again, this is the illusion versus reality, the illusion and the reality thing. I think a lot more good is going on than people realize. Again, we live in a world that shows the illusion of all this other bullshit.
Bad stuff. No, I mean, I have never gone somewhere and not had someone be generous or kind. I have never been, I have never failed to be pleasantly surprised. But not by the system, not by governments, not by countries, but by individual people
Yeah.
on the ground. Most
Totally.
people are kind.
Oh, yeah.
Most people are good. Most people are well-intentioned. Sometimes they're in their little bubble and they don't see the forest for the trees, but
That's
it
all
doesn't
of
make
us.
them not kind.
Yeah, and the thing is, be honest, that's all of us, right? That
It
is
is all of us. Exactly. We're in
Yeah.
our own little forests.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, all we can do is the best we can. So I'm not here. I'm not doing this to necessarily brag. Just trying to illustrate a point. When I was in Phoenix, Arizona, I remember going to the Phoenix Comic Con one year, and I was like, there are more poor people here than there were a few years past.
Yeah.
Right? And I was looking at that, and it's like, so this one guy comes up to me and goes, hey, man, listen, I don't want money. Can you buy me a meal? So, sure, why not? So we went with him to crack a box, Jack in the Box. He's like, okay, I got $12. Buy something. That's it. That's all I did. One thing, nothing big. Again, for me personally, that feeling I know very well. So for me, I that is something I can relate to, gravitate to, and do something about, even if it's just in a tiny way. This stuff happens all the time, and the reality is, again, if you let yourself see it, it's truly a wonderful, magical place. I also made a conscious decision too a long time ago that I don't watch television, and I have found that has eliminated most of the negativity I have. Right? Sometimes I will see a post on Facebook that pisses me off, and then I realize the algorithm's trying to piss me off.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, and like there are real world battles worth fighting, but it's not in the passive watching of media. That and fighting online, like that's not how you fight them. That's not how you make things better. You make things better on the ground, doing the work that needs to be done without a muss or fuss or huge, sensationalization.
Yeah, you don't need it. What you need is, again, just take a stand and stand against something you want to change, and that's it. It's not easy.
Or better yet, for something.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. However you want to do it, and I don't judge anybody's path. And like I said, but I just had this thought about billionaires. Like, actually, it started in a comic called Billionaires Club. That was actually where I first saw this. Thought, wait, they're not obligated for it. And I thought about that for a second. It's like, no, you're right. They're not. And then you think about it, it's like, do you want these guys running our systems? And the answer is no, you don't. Because they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
So why would you want somebody that doesn't give a shit to run these systems? Right? And then once I had that thought, I was like, okay, you know what? They aren't obligated, and they shouldn't be. And this is why. Right? Now, there's other things that should be done. Right? But that I have in me. It's like, you know what? That actually makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? That actually makes sense. It's like, you know what? That's right. And
I still just think that there should be a number. We can arbitrarily make that number where you just have one capitalism and you've won. You get your golden ticket. Congratulations. You're done.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. I mean, I had this thought today, looking at the current inflationary issues going on everywhere, right? And I realized that maybe money. It's not that I think necessarily that money is or isn't the problem. It's our system. And again, going back to something like in a greater, broader scheme of things, people are too complacent, right? They don't understand how their system really works, which is a legitimate thing.
It's a big thing, yes.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Or two, they don't know necessarily how to fight it. And the thing is, and this is why again, social media is a poison. It's the fact that, okay, we are more alike than different. I'm sure there are things we disagree on, absolutely. But you and I get the feeling most of the time we would just goof off, possibly have, in your case, probably a tea or coffee. What do you prefer?
Coffee in the morning, tea at night.
Okay, so right now we'd have a tea.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have a beer, but if I don't feel like it, I'll have a tea with you. We'll sit and we'll chat and we'll laugh at our disagreements. And that's it, and that'd be it. If we turn it into something that's politicized, where one goes one way or one goes the other way, they're still the same people. You just have a different idea how the world works. There's just natural ideas we naturally gravitate towards. So instead of trying to find where we have more in common than where we're different, right? By its very design, it's the old divide and conquer. Because if we're all divided, we never change the system. And if we ever change the system keeps doing what it's doing.
Yeah, there's a fine line between acknowledging people's differences and allowing them, and also not standing up for differences that are actively harming people. Like, I'm a disabled person. If someone, says that disabled people don't have a place in society, that's a direct,
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but there are places, there's a huge middle ground there where you can disagree and you can have differences of opinion, and you should have differences of opinion, and there should be discourse, and it should be good-natured discourse.
It's called nuance. The word we're looking for is nuance. Right? Because nuance is thing. Again, if you go from the extreme ends,
there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, but that's again. If you're going for okay, we might disagree a little bit about how guns work. Okay, cool, right? Guess what? I bet you we could probably find a middle ground somewhere. We might disagree about the medical system. Cool. I'm sure we'll find a middle ground somewhere, right? Hey, we might think our leaders are on drugs. I think we agree. I think we argue which drugs are for which. right. But the thing I'm getting at with that is, but if me and you were talking and we come to whatever that compromise is, and we get enough people that want that compromise, we change the world.
Yeah.
Right? But I think what's happened is, back in my day, shut up, clouds, right? Back in my day, we haven't been, and I think what it comes right down to is we have got to be back in the mindset at some degree that we might lose all of this. And that's and if we don't take a stand now for what we really want, the rest of it will disappear. So this is one of those moments in time, I think, where there's an opportunity for great change for the good. I think for good or for bad, and it'll end up somewhere in the middle.
Of course,
it always does. But that's the debates we should be having right now, not the stuff I'm watching right now, because it's distracting us from these real issues that we probably should be talking about, because I think we all can see the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
Or we should be able to see the writing on the wall.
If you notice the wall.
Yeah, if you notice the wall, you might notice that there's some writing going on right now, and it's like, oh. Right, But that's the thing, right? It's one of those little truths in life is that we tend to get distracted too easily, and we ignore the real issues around us. And until we get to the point where but all of us are going, okay, we got to fix this shit.
Yeah.
We actually did get serious at the end of this conversation.
We did actually get serious. Go us. Look at us. We made a promise to our viewers.
Yes.
Like a reader promise, and we actually delivered at the end.
I know. A super serious,
so serious.
I think the super was a little much. I over-advertised a little bit.
Yeah, you did. You
did.
Should know better.
But two things: JD is fiction, and I gotta make sure I get his name. Author JB
Ferguson.
Yeah, Ferguson. Nice to meet you both. I hope you guys had a wonderful time here. Now, some of my conversations go to PTSD, something even more serious, to glitter. I've talked about glitter.
Glitter is great.
Yeah, glitter. Yes.
I rolled it for fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did a short story. For Magic the Gathering, and we'll wrap this up. For a Kickstarter anthology. bet a dragon that got all like how magic like some artists will alter magic cards,
Yep.
right? Oh, absolutely, because it goes absolutely everywhere. Herpes with the crafting rope, totally. So I took this all-powerful dragon. He got altered by this paintings and glitters, and he didn't like it very much. So he changed what he did, and he wrecked that player's life. Right? He became the glorious glitter dragon. It's true.
That's amazing.
It's true.
I think I know what my new life goal is, and it's to become a glorious glitter dragon.
Okay, glorious glitter dragon, and not be like cocaine.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna leave the kind of like cocaine life behind, and I'm moving right into glorious glitter dragon.
That also could. Okay, but if you do something with that, I get royalties for that.
Okay, sounds good, but only on the t-shirts.
Yes, done. Handshake.
Done.
We've made 2 royalty deals on this show.
Time well spent.
Yes. And we got witnesses too. Witnessed! We are witnessed. This is one of those great things. Yes. So
it's been a pleasure.
No, it totally has been. You got to come back at some point when you got a book coming out or something like that.
I just put one out. I'm not going to for a little while. I'm done. I put out a literal brick. I can hit myself in the head with it.
Hi. Actually, can you wait? Why don't you talk to the audience for a minute? I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna come back. I wanted to do this.
So while he's gone, I'm going to tell you all about all his secrets, and I'm going to come clean that he's actually a platypus, and is actually glitter on the inside. That's why he knows so much about glitter dragons. What else do I know? That deal, of course, is going to be null and void because I'm not going to be making t-shirts. So I've completely scammed this poor hello there.
It's okay. It's okay. I did it to you first. This is what I got actually.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, because it was tough because you actually had 2 books recommended. So I looked. I wasn't quite ready to get into some of the crazy of I think it was like the sexual the elfish orgy. You're all right. I wasn't like I'm gonna read her non-orgy stuff first and then get into I hope I didn't misrepresent you.
No, not at all. Eye of the Storm is so I have POTS, which is this disease where I don't have enough salt and I don't have enough blood, and it's kind of what it feels like right before you black out. It's very colorful and very crazy and a little bit nauseating, but it's an insane ride. My epic fantasy is a little bit more sedate, but it's also what I like scheme about.
Yes. So I figured this would be the one that broke me in, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the one that break me in. It's my next read. I'm currently reading Victoria Everett's Glass Sword, right? That's what I'm reading right now, and then after that, I'm going to read this. So.
Well, have fun. It's a lot of pirates and a lot of adventure.
It's okay.
And very salty.
Very salty. Probably some crazy text in there too. I'm sure somewhere.
There is. Yes.
Yeah. It's okay. Like I said, so I'll say this before we wrap up. Yeah. Hey, I grew up reading Robert Heinlein. After
yes.
Yeah. So after you read Robert Heinlein, it's actually very hard to top some of the crazy sex stuff he talks about. I never thought at 15 I would know what a Texas Star was or Star of David, and I was like, oh, that's what that is. And it's like, yes, yeah, okay, and that's Heinlein. So I mean, that is. Now I'm not saying you can't top it. He's not untoppable.
I'm just saying that as far as just altitude wise, this one might.
Okay, altitude's fair enough. So the width might still go to Heinlein, but okay, gotcha.
And you'll know it when you see it.
I'm pretty sure I will. I'm actually looking forward to it. But yeah, but in all seriousness, you were very recommended as a writer, so I'm very looking forward to reading you. So why don't you talk about your current book that's out now?
Sure. I just put out this weapon I strongly suggest if we're bashing your enemies on the head, weighing down their corpses when you drown their bodies, and other murderous intent. There's a lot of murder in it. There's a lot of assassinations and poisons and adventure and intrigue and courts and dragons. And then there's also my usual spattering of quirky poly romance and disabled main characters and all the normal stuff that I'm known for, such as writing books that never end, apparently. Sorry, I've been editing this book forever. I'm very tired of it.
Well, no, I haven't. No, it's part of the process, man. You get sick of your books a little bit.
You get so sick of the words, and you hate them by the end, but you love them too, and you're so proud of yourself, but you're so done, and you want to sleep.
You just need to move on, and when the batteries are charged, you go back and you look at it, and then you look at it.
Oh, okay, that's actually a pretty good book.
Yes, totally. That's totally. So where can people find you?
You can find me pretty much anywhere. I'm author Allegra on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I have a YouTube channel that I've been neglecting under Plot Mom. I also have a Discord server, which is scattered all around my social media, and we have a lot of fun. We talk about writing, we talk about disability, we talk about all sorts of fun things, and we have regular like write-ins and weekly tea times. So we have fun and goof off.
Okay, so I got to pick an address. No webpage, actual webpage?
Yes, I do have a webpage. You can find me, same webpage, but either www.authorallegra.com or aocollectivepublishing.com.
I'm just going to use the author Allegra. Easier and stuff. No. Oh, okay, I see.
It's where I find co-authors mostly, so yes.
Okay, gotcha. AuthorAllegra.com. Okay. Well, that is something to look forward to. Who knows? One of your recruits, it's like, what happened? I joined Allegra's cult.
It has been called a cult before. I cannot confirm or deny that it is a cult.
Okay. Is it much like The Boys, where you use Fresca or Dr. Pepper as like your weapon of choice to get people to come in?
No, I use books. I bludgeon them over the head. We've been over this.
That's not cult. That's just torturing people. Okay.
One or the other.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, folks, this was a hoot.
Very serious.
We actually were serious for about 20 minutes. I think this whole conversation about 20 minutes. Good 20 minutes.
Great 20 minutes.
But everything else. Let's see. So I gotta do this again because I gotta make sure I do this absolutely right here.
Absolutely.
So, first things first. If you want to support the podcast, click on this link to check out the latest Kickstarter from Kurt Zauer, Spectre Cincinnati. You like Ancient Egypt? You want to see murder up with the greatest love story ever told in history? This is their murder, and also a nice, real retelling of it. That's really cool. If you're supporting the podcast, this is a great way to click this link. Finally, the video I made at the very beginning of this episode, if you want to know how I did it and how I can do it for you, click on this link right here, and I will tell you exactly what I did and how I do it. And I use my podcast to help build it. So, this is Allegra Pescatore, who is an amazing person. My next guest is the one and only DJ Butler, and that will be this Friday, right? But until then, folks, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's nice to meet you, your wonderful commune, cult, whatever you did. Right.
Publishing house.
Publishing house. That's right. Publishing. Right. But for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark. And I will see you. I more than willing to. I have Discord. So for everybody watching, everybody listening, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay inspired. Keep shining in the dark, and I'll see you guys next time. Let's hit the button. Okay, yes, I do.